Uh, I would like to say that I'm Claudia Meadows. I'm going to lead the meeting tonight, and I'm a board member of the Echo Lake Neighborhood Association. Um, First of all, I'd like to remind people why we have this group, why we have this meeting. And the mission of the Echo Lake Neighborhood Association is to build community, to provide a forum for sharing information, for connecting neighbors and promoting activities such as our summer picnic, and fostering civic involvement in our local community, in this very diverse community that we have. So I'd like to introduce myself, and I'd like each of us to introduce ourselves and share with the group one thing that we like about living in Shoreline. I'll start. And I like the fact that Shoreline Library does taxes for free. Get more information about that from the Shoreline Library. It's done by AARP certified tax preparers. Okay, so Chief Tommy Collins, would you go next?
Sure. I don't live in Shoreline, but I work here, and I'm here. I spend more time here than I do at home. So the one thing I love about Shoreline, actually, there's multiple things I love about Shoreline, but the support of the community that my PD has received since I've taken over about a year and a half ago is exceptional. The
Right.
community is fantastic. We've been invited to so many community groups over the last year, and the opportunity to meet and talk to individuals individually, hear their concerns. It's just been fantastic. The community participation here is second to none.
Thank you. Diane?
Well, what I like best about Shoreline is that it's big enough that you don't get the small town gossip, but it's big enough, but it's small enough that you can get your hands on people. You can talk to the police chief if you've got an issue. You can get to the city council, and not only that, they will listen to you because they know that you're the citizens that vote them into office and they care. So it's the perfect mix, perfect size.
I think so too. Dale, will you introduce yourself and tell us something you like about Shoreline? Oh, and you're on mute.
Yep, I was looking for it. Like I said before, I spend all my days on Teams meetings, and everything is different.
Yes.
So yeah, like Tommy, I spend a lot more of my daily time away from Shoreline than I do in Shoreline, working for Bellevue. But Shoreline's always been a great place. It's been great schools, it's been great neighbors, and it's been a city council and city staff that really seem to care about people. And overall, it's a great place, and it's one of the best places in Western Washington.
I think so too. David, will you unmute yourself and introduce yourself? Tell us something you like about Shoreline.
Yeah. Hi, my name is David Bennett, and I would say just that it's a great place to raise kids. Got my younger one is at Shorewood now, and it's amazing to me. Just people come back, and people always speak positively of the schools, and they're proud they went to school in Shoreline School District, and I think that's really good.
Great. Pat Deegan, would you go next?
Could I say that Jane is screen sharing? Is that right? Is that
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Was there something, maybe, I don't know if he was going to go next, or
uh,
there's probably a sign that says stop shares, if that's what, on
does anyone know how to do that?
Jane's screen. Uh,
Oh,
um,
I'll stop that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Pat Deegan, and I guess I was thinking of parks, of shoreline parks. I spend a lot of time at Echo Lake Park and at also at Shoreline Park. And we have 2 soccer fields that bring out a lot of people playing soccer and enjoying the park. And at Echo Lake, we have dog walkers and bus drivers and policemen coming through, and just a mix of people. I enjoy the parks. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Sid and Diane.
Hi, this is Diane. One of the things I love the people of Shoreline. There isn't anybody I've ever met that I didn't fall in love with. And I really appreciate how generous people are around volunteering. I'm looking at a lot of those people and many, many more. There's just so much generosity and seeing something that needs to happen and figuring out how to do it. And that is growing. I keep meeting more and more people doing that. I love that. And go ahead, Sid.
Well, I was going to say 2 things. I like the fact that Shoreline is full of regular people. And it has a Costco.
Yes. Yes. It's so convenient.
I Trader Joe's.
Costco and Trader Joe's.
Will you unmute yourself and tell us something you like about Shoreline and introduce yourself?
I'm Gidget Terpstra, and I've lived in Shoreline for 50 years in the same house. So I like Shoreline.
Yes.
Our kids, we decided we were renting in Seattle, and I was very pregnant, and we wanted to buy our first home. So we asked our friends, where's a good place to live? And Shoreline kept coming up because of the schools and in the community college. And at that time, it was not incorporated as a city. And Seattle, there was talk at the Seattle City Council of incorporating Shoreline into Seattle. And we didn't like that idea at all. So several of us got together and we started campaigning about do we want to incorporate into a city? And I've just loved Seattle. I'm still in the same house. Thank you.
Thanks. Henrietta, is that the correct way to say your name?
Harriet.
Harriet. Oh, would you please unmute yourself? You're muted. We can't hear you.
There might be a little audio on the lower left that you can click on to unmute. Harriet. Oh, that's it.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, what can I do for you?
Oh, we're introducing ourselves and saying something that we like about living in Shoreline.
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Harriet Bly. I've been living here for 13 years in July. And my husband and I moved in with my daughter because my husband had Alzheimer's and he has since passed away. So now it's me living with my daughter here. And I like the area because the people are very friendly, helpful, and it's very walkable. I'm close to the bus stop. I'm close to the train. I used to be close to Bartell's before it moved, but I can walk to the post office, to Fred Meyer, and yeah, I wouldn't think about moving. Yeah, love it.
It's nice to have you in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Sudhir, is that how you say your name? And please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, I am Sudhir Jain. You pronounced it right. Uh, my son has been here for the last 6 years, and I have been mostly a visitor from Delhi.
Oh,
But since last year, I've now become a permanent resident of this country and at this place because, in fact, he
wonderful.
had been after me to become a PR. I said I don't like America much, but once I started
Mm.
coming to Shoreline, I said, okay, this is the time you could probably put in a name. And luckily, I've been through. I really love this place. It's a real small town within a big city. It's all the
Mhm.
facilities. It's still smallish. I come from Delhi, so for me, it's all smallish, and I love that
Mhm.
greenery and everything. And as you say, Costco and everything. Just walk around and do what
Yes,
you want to do.
yes. Well, welcome, welcome.
I
I
don't like
think,
dri
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I don't like driving. I like to walk around, because that.
Mhm.
So this is an ideal place. Lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Well, let's see. Dale, can we have a treasurer's
Well,
report? Oh,
Sarah,
I don't see Sarah.
Oh,
here she
there's
is.
Oh, here she is. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, sorry, I had my camera off. I'm a little under the weather, so I'll probably
Oh,
turn
dear.
that off after this. But my name is Sarah. My husband Travis has been to many of the meetings. He's the co-president of the
Oh,
PTA,
yes.
and
Wonderful. He
so
does a
hopefully he'll be able to
great
pop on.
job.
Thank you. And yeah, we've been living in Shoreline for about 13 years now, but I also went to Shoreline Community College for my nursing degree. And so that was back in 2008, and just fell in love with the area and was super happy to find a house here and be able to
Mhm.
raise our kids here. And we just love not only the community, just with how involved everyone is, but also the
Mhm.
diversity and being able to raise our kids who are multiple races in an environment where they see people who both look like them and people who look differently or from different cultures and backgrounds or different family makeups. And it's just so wonderful that they get to celebrate that within their own community. I just love that.
And within Echo Lake School, we definitely see that variety of races and backgrounds, and it's a wonderful school. Okay, Dale, are you ready to give the treasurer's report?
Well, kind of. I don't have a formal treasurer's report tonight. It's been a really, really, really long week. It's been a long week already. And but essentially we've got somewhere in the neighborhood here, by my figures of $1,671 in our account. And of that, I can't remember, we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 250, 260 that is kind of earmarked for the Dwight Stevens bench and the maintenance and things like that around it. That's the remnants of the grant that was given to us by King County by our councilman Rob Dembowski, and so we've just kind of I've just kind of earmarked it for maintenance and plants and things like that over the years. There's no stipulations on it, but it just feels right to do that. And in fact, I visited the bench again on Saturday and was showed it to my brother and was able to talk about Dwight Stevens, who was the founder of this neighborhood association, and man who went and flew bombers in World War II and came back and raised a family and sold insurance and taught kids how to read in the elementary school and coached sports and refereed sports, and kind of person that made this community, and the kind of person, there are so many of them in this community today.
Mhm.
You know, lots of backgrounds, but people who care about what goes on and what happens here. And so, anyway, that's my treasurer's report. I was going to say, too, that when my kids were at Echo Lake, as if I recall, I think there were 39 language groups that were spoken in homes at the school, and I always thought that was, really a healthy thing for my kids to grow up around.
Yes, definitely. Well, Pat Deegan is going to give us a couple short reports, one on Echo Lake Park and one on the City Learn meeting that he attended.
The and Echo Lake Park spring is here. I've noticed the last couple of days also you've got a lot of Canada geese at the lake. I saw a dozen this morning. They kind of make a mess, but I hope they don't stay too long. But they're down on near the water. We've had some rain. The loo there is cleaned every morning, and I was kind of interesting. It kind of shows some of the complexity of the park. There was at about 6:15 or 6 o'clock this last one day. There was a person camped in the loo, and he had a bicycle and bags. And I knocked on the door, and I says, "The custodian's coming in a half an hour." And then about 20 minutes later, I pounded on the door, and I says, "Please finish up." And then I guess I called 911 because I knew the custodian was going to come, and I hate it when he has to either come, when it's so hard for him to clean when someone's in there, and then I was talking and I said, and the custodian just drove up, and they immediately said, and someone very shortly came out and helped escort the man out of the, said he's here and you need to leave. And he left the loo. He took his bicycle and his bags. And then Martin cleaned the loo. And then he went over and sat on the guy from inside sat on the bench and on a picnic bench. And I was very impressed with the officer's directness and the ability to handle the situation in a decent way. And curiously, just 2 days later, the loo was locked overnight, and there was a woman screaming at the top of the lungs, "Get out of there! I need to get in!" She was screaming for about 20 minutes straight, and I said, "There's no one in there. It's locked. There's a toilet right across in the Aurora Village Transit Center." She says, "I'm not using a honey bucket." Anyway, and it was so curious because then one of the neighbors called 911 because she was screaming. I can't remember if she was saying she was being threatened or what, but the policeman came out again, and by that time, Martin had opened it up and she had gone inside. And the officer says, "Are you alone or are you okay?" Again, very professional. "Are you alone in there?" And she says, "Yes." And "Are you okay?" "Yes." And then he waited and she came out and he talked to her a while. And it was just curious because they were called when it wasn't locked overnight, and then they were called when it was locked overnight because so it's kind of the dilemma, the situations that happen that are always sort of a surprise. But I was very pleased of the police response on two days. It was the same officer, but it was I've seen many cases of police walking through the park and checking the park. I think that's pretty much. Oh, the only other issue is I'm still pushing for a water fountain.
Yes.
I don't want to talk. I went to the meeting. I guess I went to the meeting on homelessness last night at City Hall. It was a City Learn project on homelessness, and it was Mallory Von Ebema was kind of the host, and another, I can't remember the other woman who was interviewing these it was navigating homelessness in Shoreline, and there was one from the King County Regional Housing Authority, and then there was one employee of the city of Shoreline, and then there was one homeless advocate, and they all spoke on the a number of homeless individuals and the inadequacy or not having a place for everyone, and then how they help people navigate to find a residence. And it was sad, it was kind of because we don't quite have a plan that can eliminate or really solve, even though we are making strides in finding homes and having housing. It's not meeting the need completely or fully. And after the meeting, I talked to a woman, Isis, I think was her name, from City Hall, and I mentioned to her the drinking fountain. I said, my big concern is a drinking fountain. We got homeless people, but we've got a lot of other people, dog walkers, and they could all use a drinking fountain in the summer. And she says, well, talk to your neighborhood association and talk to Mallory and so I want to put in a word that I'm still advocating for a drinking fountain. I'd like to go to the park board meeting. Maybe next month we can talk to the director of Parks and Recreation. I just think that I told her my vision is the people being outside and enjoying the parks, and a part of that is a place to poop and a place to get a drink of water. It's not that complicated. Water.
Well, Pat, I think you'll be pleased to hear that the Echo Lake Neighborhood Association has decided that they are all in favor of getting a drinking fountain, and will make a formal request to the city council and the head of Parks and Recreation.
Good. Well, I'm very pleased to hear that. 3 years ago when the playground burned down, they said it would take 6 months, and it did. And they did. They brought it back, and I was very pleased. They've made some substantial, basic maintenance things. When the restroom was in trouble, there was a drinking fountain as part of that restroom, but then when it was destroyed, it didn't carry over. Thank you.
Right.
I'll try to. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Yes, that's a long story. Well, now I'd like to introduce Chief Tommy Collins, and I'd like him to tell us about crime in Shoreline, crime in Echo Lake neighborhood, and also to tell us about the effects that he expects that FIFA this summer will bring to Shoreline. So, Chief, you're on.
All right, great. Well, I appreciate the invitation. I'm glad to be back. It's been, like I said, it's probably been about a year since the last time I've talked to this group. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm sure there was a few that weren't on. The 2025 Police Services Report will be coming out here shortly. That will have most of the information on that the Echo Lake neighborhood would be looking for. The one thing that I will like to point out is a lot of our metrics that we're looking for when it comes to violent crime and property crime are all down this year, which is a good news for me. Some of the things that I will constantly harp on is when you see something, there's a lot of times that people won't call 911 because they figure it's not a big deal or it's not something that we'd be interested in, and nothing could be further from the truth. Like I mentioned at every meeting that I go to, the way we allocate resources for criminal activity is by calls for service and by what we call on-view activity. And it's where my officers go out into the community and they actually initiate contact with both residents and non-residents of the community to identify criminal behavior and to address it. We got into a conversation earlier about traffic collisions. So while the meeting was getting underway, I started taking a look at what the police service report, the initial draft of this report had. I'm happy to report that for 2025, the collision reports are pretty much on par with what they've been over the last several years. we had a dip during COVID years where there was less traffic on the roads. Things have kind of normalized back to pre-2019 levels. We roughly run about 480-ish collisions a year that we wind up investigating. And we're right on that par. I think we're at 477 this year is what I looked up. The other thing is because the Echo Lake neighborhood's so close to the main arterials of the city of Shoreline, DUI is always a factor. It's some of the questions that I get from most neighborhoods that are around the main arterials. Our DUI enforcement up here for this last year are actually up. Actually quite a bit up. We've doubled the amount of DUIs that we arrested last year over the previous year. The other thing I'd like to let the neighborhood association know is that I recently reinstated the DUI patrol car for overnights. We should be able to have that deputy on the streets by the summertime. My goal is to have them on the streets before the activities of summer kind of hit us. That way, I have a dedicated car that's their primary job is to do DUIs. One of the things I'd like to tell the Echo Lake neighborhood is that yes, we have staffing challenges, but I have a wonderful staff. Many of you met my administrative captain, Captain Neil Woodruff, with his partner, Captain Brian Angelo, and they've come up with some unique staffing metrics in order for us to put what appears to be more bodies than we actually have on the street from time to time. We actually were able to get a grant last year that covered some overtime during the summertime for individual enforcement. So I was able to get a couple of deputies that weren't attached to the radio. They would do what we call on-view activities. They would go and seek different activities in high crime, what we call high crime areas. One of the higher incident areas that we had is along the trail, the interurban trail. So we were able to do some enforcement activity over the summertime last year and to address some issues that were occurring on that trail. We did see a decline in activity as far as calls for service around that area. And I'm hoping to be able to do the same thing again this summer, which leads me to what I'm sure everybody's curious about is FIFA. I would like to ensure everybody here that we have been planning for FIFA for over a year and a half now with the sheriff's office. We are aware of what the challenges that the World Cup is going to bring to our area. What the sheriff's office has identified is what we call the FIFA core area, which actually will run from SeaTac all the way through Shoreline. With that being said, we have reallocated all resources within, excuse me, I got to close the door. I'm getting some feedback outside my office right here. Hold on just a second. My apologies. I had to quiet some people down. So, but at any rate, so with identifying the area, we've activated everybody within the sheriff's office. So what does that mean for the city of Shoreline? So on game days, on top of my regular patrol staffing, I will have 8 additional deputies assigned to the city of Shoreline for hours prior to and after game time, along with 2 additional sergeants. We've identified that most of the main issues that we're probably going to wind up is going to be around the Metro Transit Center and the Sound Transit facility. So those deputies will help us and to address any issues that come up with parking, increased activity, those type of issues with the transit centers. What we have identified is the way that the city of Seattle is planning for the World Cup games. There'll be an exclusionary area around Lumen Field. The quick translation of that is that there won't be any parking like they normally would for a Seahawk game or a Sounders game around the stadium, which is going to increase people using Metro and Sound Transit. We understand that. We're myself, my department, and the city are talking about mitigation factors right now for what's that going to mean for the neighborhoods that border the transit centers and the parking issues. So I know that is a concern for most that live around the transit center. I want you to rest assured that we are looking into it. We will have mitigation factors to help reduce what that footprint looks like. So with that being said, if there's any specific questions, I'd be more than happy to answer it. I saw that Captain Woodruff has joined us, so I've got backup. Thank you. So
Yes. So welcome, Captain Neil Woodruff. We're delighted that you can join us. Are there specific questions that we would like them to address?
How are you handling the pushing of crime northward? I think we've all noticed what's going on Aurora. It used to be a pretty peaceful street, and now from Northgate all the way to 145th, it's pretty much a crime zone. Yeah. And it's starting to spill over. I'm noticing things on 145th.
Yeah. So 145th is kind of our demarcation line. As you're well aware, it's the border of the city. We do make it abundantly clear that we are the sheriff's office. Shoreline PD is a different agency than Seattle PD. If you talk to those that are participating in criminal activity, they will tell you that we are a different agency when it comes to criminal activity. Every one of my officers are fully authorized to, if appropriate, to arrest and book individuals for property crime, which isn't always the case for larger cities. We recently got a new contract for the jail up in Linwood. What that means for my employees. So if I have a deputy that's working swing shift and they arrest somebody during that shift, before our jail was down in SeaTac, it was the SCORE facility. It was a shift killer for most of my deputies because of the traffic going through and coming back northbound during traffic hours. Now we can book into Linwood. So I have happy deputies because they can actually do their job and be back on the street within 20, 30 minutes. So that's one of the things that we started to mitigate to help getting more bodies back on the street to help address some of those issues. We're well aware that 145th has always been kind of that line between us and Seattle. We do focus patrol around that area, especially around the Westminster Triangle. They also have a very active neighborhood association. And believe me, I do hear the concerns that come out of that neighborhood. And we do our very best to address those.
How are you also coordinating with Snohomish County with them having two of the light rail stops just north of ours? Has there been any communication?
Yeah, there's a FIFA work group. I was just in a workshop actually last Thursday. So all stakeholders that are affected by this, we are pulling resources. We're talking about different ways that we can help each other. And that's my biggest concern because Linwood is the start of the rail system going southbound. And once that facility fills up, the next natural place to go is here in Shoreline. So yes, those conversations have been ongoing. I hope that's not it. This is an easy group.
Are there plans for expanding parking options, especially around transit centers? Like I live pretty close to Fifth Avenue Northeast, the stretch between 185th and the border. And, when I drive by, it's constantly full of people parking because the light rail garage is full and it makes it really hard to walk, especially with no sidewalks.
Right.
And just, knowing that as more people are using the light rail for their day-to-day life plus events, like what are the options for like actual parking spots to help.
Yeah.
mitigate that?
So when it comes to actual parking spots for transit, that's going to be a conversation that had to be had with Sound Transit and Metro. I know the cities have had that conversation, but it never hurts for those neighborhoods that are affected by it to reach out to Metro and Sound Transit directly and let them know what their concerns are. Saying, this affects us using your system. And I know both agencies are huge advocates for the community to get out of their cars and to use the light rail and to use the buses. So my recommendation is not just talking to the city, but also talking to Sound Transit and to Metro directly.
Sweetheart Jane has his hand up.
I have a question about homelessness. How in Shoreline, what would you say is the level of homelessness as compared to, let's say, the Seattle areas? Apparently, it is much less.
Yeah.
But more importantly, does homelessness contribute to increasing crime or increased crime, or it is just some other issue? Does it contribute to crime?
Right. So there's no direct correlation that I can put between homelessness and crime. We've had a couple of facilities and churches that have put up temporary housing for the transit community, and my crime stats didn't go up where they were actually housed at. So I mean, there's no direct correlation between somebody who's actually homeless and crime itself. Our level of homelessness within the city of Shoreline is much less than the city of Seattle. But with that being said, we also don't have the same facilities or resources that a large city like Seattle has. The one thing that we do have is we have the RACER program, which is co-responders that are housed within my PD, that they're mental health professionals that go out, and when we find somebody that we run into within the course of our duties that may need resources that we can't provide, that's when they come in and help direct those individuals to the resources that they may need. We also work with a group called the Recovery Navigator Program that does extensive work with the homeless population throughout King County. They also help direct those limited resources to individuals that may need that. One thing you do have to realize is that there is some individuals that are transient and they are by choice. And when they are offered services, they don't necessarily take those services. In the state of Washington, we don't have vagrancy laws. It's not illegal to be homeless. The individuals that are offered services, they have to want those services. It's voluntary for them. Now, with that being said, if there's criminal activity that goes on, that's our job. We handle the criminal activity. This process is not something that has been part of my career. I've been a cop for almost 30 years, and this is kind of new at the back end of my career. And like every old cop, new things I'm a bit skeptical about. I have been informed, and I have become a huge advocate of this process over the last year and a half since I've been here, because I have seen such wonderful work that has been done between both my patrol deputies and the organizations that help with this co-response model. This has helped us make inroads with the community. And like I said before, we have always been the easy button. Policing has always been the easy button for a lot of social issues. And I always equate it to like we're a tool, but sometimes we're a hammer where like a screwdriver is more appropriate. So a lot of these agencies are that screwdriver.
Can I have a follow-up question?
Sure. Yes.
Recently, I came across a very interesting approach to handling homelessness in Finland. In Finland, I think many of you may have heard about this. They have declared housing as a fundamental right since 2008. And it seems homelessness has reduced by 65%. You can go on the internet and check on Finland's Housing First project. And I think that, I don't know, because I'm not aware of how these issues have been tackled. But I came across this incidentally, and I thought it was a great idea. And statistics speak for themselves that Finland has been able to reduce the homelessness by a remarkable figure of around 60%, which is very high, because they changed the paradigm to look at housing as a fundamental requirement before you even start doing anything. So if anyone is interested, you could go and check up Finland's housing first strategy.
That sounds really interesting. Diane, do you Sid, do you have a question, or Diane?
Yeah, I had a question. So I guess I've seen little snippets here and there across the country that crime rates are down, kind of generally, and that the political thing is that a lot of people are still trying to convince people that crime is up. But is there some big picture thing happening that is there a reason why this crime rates are down?
I can only comment on what happens here in the city of Shoreline. I can't comment on overall crime statistics. I know that we started several initiatives over a year ago in order to bring down property crime within the city of Shoreline. It was something that we absolutely focused on. One of those is a retail theft program that we've got up off the ground. Another was the what we call an X-ray car, which is what I referred to earlier, that they're not attached to radio, that their job is just to go address specific hotspots within the city. So we had specific initiatives that we started here in order to lower our overall crime rate. And that's what I can comment to. I can't really comment to anything that's happening nationwide.
Thank you.
Gidget, would you like to ask your
Yes,
question?
I do. Recently, there was a body found at Ronald Bog on 175th. And I was wondering whether that was related to a crime or did the person just die naturally?
So that's going to take a significant amount of time because that person had been there for probably prior to COVID. So they've been there a very long time. So it's one of the things that we're going to have lab results come back. All indications that there was no foul play, but what that person died of, I couldn't comment on with any authority because without the actual crime lab tests, I'm not sure. But there's no obvious signs of criminal activity or foul play.
I have a question. Have we had any situations here with ICE?
Yes, we had a couple here over a month ago. The one thing I can't comment a whole lot on immigration because we don't deal with immigration. King County has a very strict policy. We follow the Keep Washington Working Act. So by state law, we don't involve ourselves in immigration enforcement. The one thing I can tell you is if immigration is active within the city of Shoreline, they don't tell us. They don't share information with us. And we don't share information with them unless they have a judicial warrant that mandates it. So generally, when I find out about ICE activity that happens this year's Shoreline, it's because a community member tells me about it. It's not because they tell us, because they don't share information.
Okay. Well, I saw some Latinos at Home Depot in that area, and I'm wondering if it was safe for them to be there.
Yeah. I don't tell people to alter their day-to-day activities based on their ethnicity. That's just not what we do. And people are going to live their lives. But one thing I tell everybody within the city of Shoreline, the sheriff's office doesn't involve ourselves in immigration enforcement. That's not what we do. It's not part of our job function, nor will it be.
Okay. Well, I am a little bit confused when I think about Minnesota, and then I think about us. It seems the police were involved there.
Different state, different rules. So this is the way I look at it. So each each state has their own state constitution. Each state has their own state laws. We
Okay.
follow
Don't mean
the
to put
Washington
you
State
on the
Constitution.
spot, Chief.
No, that's fine. I'm more than happy to answer these questions. And believe me, ma'am, you're not the first one to ask them to me. So,
Well, yeah.
but we follow the Washington State Constitution. We follow Washington State law. I don't know what Minnesota's Constitution says. I don't know what Minnesota state law is. I don't know what Minneapolis police's policies are. I know what our policies are. It's kind of like comparing. I guess the easiest comparing is rugby and football. Similar games but different rule books, and it's kind of the same thing.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Diane and Sid, do you have another question? Your hand is raised.
Yes, I wanted to follow up on what Harriet was talking about. So is the Shoreline Police? Well, I guess my question is traffic stops in Shoreline. Is the Shoreline Police the only people that can do that?
No. So in the state of Washington, we have the Mutual Powers Agreement in 1974. It's a state law. So if you have a state commission within the state of Washington, you can actually perform a traffic stop or enforce the law anywhere in the state of Washington.
What kind of
And that applies to ICE as well?
So the feds fall under federal law, and it falls under the Supremacy Clause. So they have their own set of rules and regulations, and they work under the U.S. Constitution, and U.S. Code. So, like I said, it's a different rule book.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So who else can make arrests?
Well, the thing is if you have a commission, so if you're a federal or state or local law enforcement within the state of Washington, you can make arrests under your authority or under your commission. But the thing is everybody has a different job. So you're not going to see a state trooper coming in the city of Shoreline making an arrest for a domestic violence case, because that's not what they do. They do traffic laws. You're not going to see a federal officer coming to Shoreline answering 911 calls. You're not going to see a King County deputy enforcing federal law or immigration law. It's just not what we do. That's everybody. It's kind of siloed. I know it's confusing. I've been explaining this to individuals for a very long time. But the bottom line is that if you have a commission, whether it's a federal commission, a state commission, you can enforce the law under what your authority allows you to enforce the law.
Okay.
Wow, that opened up a can of worms. I didn't realize that.
Captain Woodruff, is there anything that you would like to add or suggest that we think about?
Well, not in regards to FIFO or ICE or anything like that. I think the chief has done a very good job of explaining those rules and those issues. I was going to bring up that we have started up an Explorer program, and recognizing that a lot of you don't have a lot of your kids are probably all adults, but if you have any kids or grandkids and nieces or nephews that are actually interested in a job within the criminal justice system, or would just like to kind of see what we do, those sorts of things, we do have a program, and it's for 14 to 21, and it's run here at the Shoreline precinct. As a matter of fact, they're just wrapping up a meeting right now. That's where I was coming from. So
thank you.
Yeah.
And by the way, do you live in Shoreline?
I do.
Well, tell us something you like about Shoreline. That's the way we introduced ourselves at the beginning of this meeting.
Yeah, and I apologize. I have it on the calendar for 7:30, and I don't know what.
No
happened.
problem.
Yeah.
Yes, no problem.
anyway, so my favorite part about living in the city Shoreline is the people. I love the people. I think I think it's a very diverse group. I was just at our local mosque doing a presentation for the Ramadan
Iftar.
and Iftar and
Yeah.
with the youth group, and it was just a fantastic way to interact with the people. And we did a presentation last night at Calvin Presbyterian for a dinner presentation with what Chief brought up was our racer program. So we did a joint program with that.
And
so-
I remember meeting you at Echo Lake Elementary STEM Light last month. So thank you for coming and bringing the fun toys that the kids love to see in action.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. I know our deputies absolutely love it, and they are very thrilled to. We're participating in multiple STEM events in the coming months.
Great. Do we have more questions?
Yeah, I do, Claudia.
Yes.
So how do you guys feel about block watches?
So we don't. So the sheriff's office used to actually facilitate block watches. We no longer do it. What I would recommend is
Shoreline
that
watch.
if you have a neighborhood watch that you organize between your association and you want one of us to come address the group, we'll be more than happy to do it. It's just most of the legwork for block watches nowadays has to be done by the individual group, where we used to facilitate it and we don't do it any longer. We just don't have the bandwidth any longer. We don't have the people that can actually take on that project.
I will say that one of our detectives, the person that who does our retail theft, he's also our community outreach detective. He will give a presentation on things to be aware of and stuff like that. He's not going to run it, but he will do a presentation.
Absolutely. Yeah, his name's Detective Toby Veely. Very knowledgeable. He'll be more than happy to come address the group if the neighborhood association wants to put together a block watch. He'll be more than happy to kind of give them some ideas and feedback and give them direction. But most of the heavy lifting would have to be done by the group.
It always has been, but what they were used to from the police was information, regular notices. Here's the crime trends. Here's what we see, just to keep them up to speed.
So that's become a much easier. In fact, if I could figure out how to put it in the chat, I will put the link. Actually, Neil, can you look it up real quick? The link to the neighborhood maps off of our CAU site for the public. What this does is CAU stands for Crime Analysis Unit. And it's something that we can actually give the neighborhood association, and you can go in and it gives you, within about a week's time, up-to-date crime stats for your neighborhood.
Oh, there was one, and I quit reporting on it after it was put out, because it has basically no information. It just says burglary. No hint about what kind of burglary, what time of day, whether it was violent. People want the details. They want to know what they need to be afraid of or what they need to be aware of.
The reason there's not a lot that type of information in there is a lot of them are still in investigation. So if it's an investigatory crime, there's the amount of information that we can share at the time is limited. So we can tell you it occurred and where it occurred, but that could be about it.
Back in the day, we used to get copies of the reports.
Yeah.
The thumbnails.
Yeah. So it is better. I know that they've updated it. So I highly recommend it. Take a look to see.
Neil, are you going to find that for us?
Yes, he has put it in the chat, I believe.
Thank you.
I'm uploading it right now to the chat.
Thank you.
So you've mentioned traffic crime and property crime and kind of what you're working on for that. And I know luckily Shoreline has low rates of violent crime, but can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so our instances of violent crime actually also went down last year. And violent crime is something that we can never predict. Violent crime is one of those anomalies that pop up from time to time, and you'll get spikes. And when I say spikes, that means I could go from 2 homicides to 4. That's that kind of spike. I had 100% increase in homicides, but like I said, it just depends on how you read the statistics. And that's one of the reasons why I highly recommend when we put our police services report out and you see the percentages, to look in the background detail that are in there to see if how much they actually went up by. If it's a big spike where I went from 150 to 400 incidences, which would happen in like property crime incidents, that's a concern, and that's something that we're going to take a look at. But overall, our violent crime last year actually went down. Our violent assaults, homicides, rapes, the ones that you would normally think of as violent crime.
So do things like vehicular homicide, are those counted as like in the traffic area?
Not in the violent. That's traffic stuff.
Okay. So more of the like intentional, like person to person.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we call it crime against person, crimes against society.
Chief, I have a quick question. All in all, do you think that homeless people are more violent or less violent than the general population?
Like I said, I can't put a direct correlation between somebody being homeless and criminal activity, because I just don't have the statistics to back it up within the city of Shoreline. Like I said, we've had multiple incidences where we've had places of worship that have sponsored transient housing facilities, and my crime incidences in those areas did not go up. So there's no direct correlation with homelessness and crime.
Okay.
Does it happen? Yes, it happens, but I can't put a blanket statement out there that says, yes, there's a cause and effect there.
Right.
I would just like to add, if I may. So I am been a nurse at Harborview Medical Center for over 15 years. And I also had my kids attend Shoreline Cooperative Preschool. And for 2 sessions, we hosted one of the homeless encampments there at we didn't host them, but the church where the preschool was, the Shoreline Methodist Church by the library, hosted them. And they were wonderful guests. And our students would, bring donations to them and interact with some of the members of that community. And anyways, is working with a lot of people who are experiencing housing instability and homelessness and, substance abuse issues. Homelessness is not a crime. And a lot of people who are experiencing it are just trying to survive. So if they are committing crimes, a lot of the times it's just to get those basic needs met, trying to find shelter, trying to find food, trying to take care of themselves and their families. So, yes, there's always exceptions to that rule, but just in my experience.
Yeah, maybe I should clarify. Maybe I should clarify my question, because sometimes I do tend to get homelessness confused with mental illness.
And that's not a crime either. A lot of people who are experiencing a mental health crisis, it's usually more people who are at risk of harming themselves.
When people are having a mental health crisis, that can be dangerous.
Yes, but oftentimes it's more to themselves, not to others.
Well, if you're a professional, you can determine that.
So, in my experience, we were always the easy button for folks that are going through crisis. I referenced that earlier. We now, like I said, we have a co-response model where we do have mental health professionals that will come to those calls for service for those that are going through crisis to help address some of the immediate needs that law enforcement has never been the best answer for. So, can somebody going through crisis commit a crime? Absolutely. We've had it multiple times over the years. Does every person going through crisis commit a crime? No, not that. It's not one equals another.
How much of a problem do we have with fentanyl? I go through the medical examiner's report every day, and I realize it's the whole county, but every day there are at least 3 people who die of fentanyl overdoses.
It's an issue. It's an issue nationwide. I 100% admit to that. The incidences of fentanyl deaths have gone down. If you take a look at those statistics over the last 5 years, that we had a spike probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and then over the last couple of years, the incidence of those are going down. Why are those going down? I have my theories, but I don't have any hard statistics to back that up. I think some of it is education, the dangers of fentanyl. People are realizing that one dose, the first dose, will kill you. So there's people that realize that they don't know if they're buying street drugs. They don't know what it's actually been cut with. And there's a possibility if you can get something that cut with fentanyl, and then, that high can cost you your life. But as far as statistically why it's gone down the last couple of years, I don't have any hard facts that say one reason or another.
They're probably dead.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Chemical dependency has always been an issue in society, and it's always ones that we struggled with. When I started my career, it was heroin and meth. And as I'm ending my career or getting towards the end of my career, it's fentanyl. So, it's always been an issue. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't know your name. I know it says Diane, but I think that's your wife.
Sid.
Yeah. I was just curious if do we use flock in the city of Shoreline?
No, we don't have flock cameras here. There's some individual businesses within the city of Shoreline that have their own flock cameras, but the city of Shoreline doesn't have flock.
Okay, so when you say individual businesses, you're probably talking about those parking lots with that thing sitting in the middle with the blue light.
That's not a flock camera. That is a pan tilt zoom camera, PTZ, with a blue light that just puts notifications up there. No, the flock cameras, if they have them, you wouldn't notice them. I know there's a couple of businesses offhand that have them. It's their right to have their own camera system on their property because they're private businesses. But the city of Shoreline, as a government agency, we do not have them. Okay. And the thing is I've explored them. I put that exploration on pause until after we get some legislation from the state, because the state's looking at all license plate readers, which that's what they are. They're LPRs, and what guidance the state's going to have on actually the use of those. There's a lot of questions up in the air about flock. So I don't think it's going to be an option for us in the near future.
Okay, but we do use some kind of license plate reader for the parking.
No, we don't have them.
Oh, so. Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
The parking enforcement officer does have them, but that's not connected.
That doesn't fall under the police department.
Yeah.
So.
Any more questions?
Well, I want to thank everybody for.
Wait a second.
I guess I just want
one more.
I just did want to say that I have noticed at Echo Lake Park in the 5 years, 3 years ago, there was definitely a peak of fentanyl and of drug use. But in more recent years, there are considerably less drug paraphernalia. It's rare to find a needle there or foil strips that are used. There is still some drug use between the transit center and the park, and in the park and in the woods. And I appreciate the police patrols that have come through there. But the end result of whatever has happened, there's less there, and there's less drug use there. And I often think there's probably more people overdosing in their homes or in their apartments. I don't know, but that's where my suspicion is that's where it's prevalent in places that we not at the transit center in Echo Lake so much. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
And speaking of Echo Lake, we really appreciate it when the officers are able to lock the loo in the evening. We understand it is only possible when they are not occupied with other duties, but it really makes it easier for the cleaner in the morning, for example, who's excellent, by the way.
Yeah.
to do his work if the loo has been locked at night and therefore not occupied.
Yeah, I know our graveyard patrol sergeants have made it a priority to try to get to the to there at night to lock it up. We don't always make it, but we try.
Yeah, and it's greatly appreciated when you do.
Are you having problems around the transit stations? Because it used to be that homeless people would get on the bus and ride the bus until they got to the end of the line, and then they'd get thrown off at the transit center. But we've taken care of that. But I recently became aware that that population has shifted to the rail line. I mean the light rail.
So
or is that
as many of you know, Metro and Sound Transit are also contracts with the sheriff's office. They've increased their staffing significantly over the last year to address a lot of the issues when it comes to what they call non-designated riders, where they're just riding the bus. I know that Metro has made a concerted effort to reduce that on their line. Sound Transit just recently hired a new chief of police, actually a good friend of mine. I've known him for 25 years. And I know that's one of his priorities right now is to address that issue on the light rail as well.
I know somebody who rides from the end of the line, and she said every morning the police get on and all the people that are sleeping on the rail, they make them get off, but then they turn around and come right back on. So they go to the door, they turn around, they go back in. And a lot of times we're talking mental illness.
Yeah, it's a 100% challenge. We don't have a closed system. I know that's been talked about for a number of years, making the transit system a closed system. For those that don't know, I spent probably about 6 years of my life in Metro, so I'm familiar with the transit issues. It's so they're trying to balance a couple of things. They want an open system where people feel comfortable riding the transit system, where they don't feel like it's kind of like getting on a carnival ride. So you're actually using the system that's provided. On top of that, making it a safe system for all the riders that pay the fare and actually take the system for commuting and recreation and everything else. So they've been balancing those two issues for a number of years. And like I said, Chief Scott Deary, who's the one that just took over for Sound Transit, I know that's one of his priorities because it's one of the complaints I've already brought to him about some of the issues that we've had here in Shoreline around the Sound Transit station. Your neighborhood association is not the first to bring those issues to me. And believe me, we are listening and we're trying to address them.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks for addressing our questions and concerns, Chief Collins and also Captain Woodruff. And
my pleasure.
Does anyone have any further business that they would like to address at this meeting tonight? If not, I think we'll say good night to all.
Good night.
And I would like to thank everybody for the invitation and the dialogue tonight. Believe me, I love coming to these group meetings. I love getting the questions because I would much rather be able to answer tough questions than to have the rumor mill go about. So I appreciate the invite.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
Thank
you.
Absolutely. Take care. Have a good night.
Okay. Good night, everybody.